Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and today I'm joined by John Hards, who was the National Countrywide Lettings Director for the whole of the UK up until a few years ago. I'm down in Cornwall, and I thought I'll come and see an old friend and just chew the fat. And today I'm going to be asking you a number of questions. First question, John, is this: is Countrywide created such a huge legacy? There's some huge names in the industry still working in it.
Amazing business it was. Yeah, absolutely amazing business with such stars and people that were the best, I would say. Yeah, I mean, originally when I joined, we were run by Harry Hill, who was a fantastic boss to have. Gave you a bit of leeway. It gave a framework to work within, and then gave you leeway within that framework. So it was allowed. Said to me once, you can make 20% mistakes, get 80% right. You're doing well, John. So that was very good. It allowed you to do stuff.
Didn't he say once that when you were coming up with a project, you put a certain appendage on the
He
plot?
did. He did say that once when we had a discussion around the board table, that you can put your what's it on the table if you do this project. And yeah, he was direct and forthright, but yeah, very good. A high motivator.
And now he's part of TA UK now, so
Yeah.
You can leave a state agency, but you can never leave.
No,
being a state agent, you can never leave a state agency.
You can't. And he loves to get involved in all sorts of things. I mean, he's always a very active brain and active guy. So
I mean, the combination of him and Kenny Bruce together at TA UK
could be very spectacular.
With Steph and Andrew driving it on a day-by-day basis. That's absolutely amazing.
It is. Well, Harry was is a fantastic estate agent. But he's a fantastic businessman, and that's really his skill set, with a combination of both. He just knew how to run the ship. I mean, he was one of the instigators of Rightmove, of course. Brought that to the fore, and I remember the days around the board table when that was muted, before the internet was really thought about or heard of.
That was late 1998, 98, 99, was it?
Something like that. And some people were thinking, what do you want a laptop for? What do you want a computer for? Actually, not a laptop.
Thing like
That's right. But for me, it was a fantastic opportunity. We had lettings, people coming from all over the world to rent through us in London, the home counties, some high value stuff. And I just felt that for us, putting stuff on the internet for them to see, whether in America or wherever they happen to be, and look at the details and the photographs, it transformed the business.
Billions of pounds.
Indeed.
Should have kept our shares in on that one.
Should have kept. Yes, indeed, should have done.
Who else do you think?
Well, there was a team at Countrywide, that a very tight team. So at the top you had Harry. 3 divisional directors. Was Anthony Eakins did the West, Jerry Fitzjohn, Anthony did the East, Jerry Fitzjohn did the West, and Tony Crew the South. Quite all good agents, all good business people. And then underneath those guys, you had a raft of MDs, and there were about 40 MDs. I was one of them. Too many to mention on this, but some really classy names. Some still in the industry, well, many still in the industry, but some from the days I started. Peter Speak, I still work with Peter, and he works. He's a director on the board of the Ombudsman. He still works for Connells actually, but he's more in compliance and training for them. He developed the Countrywide online training platform, which was very successful.
It's interesting. We're filming this in middle of July, and the Connells issue blew up a few days ago. And I said, as an industry, we don't train as much as we used to. I mean, the Halifax is, I'm ex-Halifax myself, but Countrywide's training was second to none. In fact,
it was.
I think most decent estate agents have got the Countrywide booklet.
They have. It was a strong theme, second to none. Everybody was trained. I mean, in lettings, I can talk about that more easily, because there's so much regulation and legislation behind it and process behind it. But we trained and trained and trained. We were probably the training ground for the industry.
Certainly were. I mean, again, I'm in the post I mentioned this morning, is that when 08 came, budgets had to be cut, and training was unfortunately one of them. But no one told the industry that when the market came back in 10 or 11, to get the trainers back on board.
We didn't cut too many of them, and we saw them as a necessity. We had to trim back a bit, but not hugely, because it's important if you want to keep trading. And there's always a churn in negotiators. Hopefully never a churn in your branch manager. They're the key to running the business, I would say. Good branch manager knows what he's got to do, gets well known in the town, whether it's lettings or sales, and can recruit good staff and then train them up. And the manager is responsible for lots of day-to-day process and training and administration. But the overall training was excellent, and we didn't want to drop too much back. So.
I mean, if I don't mind, if I can drop in a few names, Ian McKenzie from the Guild.
Great bloke, yeah.
Oh, you know, and again, there's going to be names that we're going to both miss out.
Well, Ian and I worked together at the end with Toby Phillips and a few of us.
Top bloke.
I really had fun working with those. They're very good at their job, but great fun to be with.
Lee Wainwright.
Yes.
Who else got? Matt Giggs, who was in
He's with Ian. Yeah.
Just amazing people.
All amazing people. Well, you stood by what you did at Countrywide, and you were, I'd say, working in a framework, but you ran a business. So you're an MD of a company, and that company was judged with a proper full P&L, with all the other KPIs that go behind it about number of sales and the key performance indicators that help run it. And if you weren't doing so well, you get training. If you really weren't doing so well, you might not last the course. So people at Countrywide, the ones at the top that stayed there, were excellent at what they did. And part of the job was to bring new people on all the time.
Again, I know you can't mention everyone, but is there anyone out there?
Well, Bob Scarf, I worked with Bob for many years. He ran sales as long as I ran lettings. He's at Coolwell, but Bob and I worked hand in glove. We didn't always see eye to eye about spacing branches or whatever, but nonetheless, he was a terrific supporter of the business, and I was of his. And at the end, from 2008 maybe, when we bought the company and it was private, Bob and I really worked together very closely, New Start program and all those things. But yeah, he's a great guy, and he's at Coolwell now. But yeah, we're still in touch. We still see each other. He's come down to see me regularly quite a few times. Top man. On the lettings team, I had some really great people working with me. Bruce Evans, Graham Harrison. I mean, Julian, the finance director for me. We worked together for 17, 18 years.
The accountants, don't you?
You do need the accountants. And true, when Julian and I first started working together, he didn't quite get the lettings or sales business and the people side of it. But he came around the branches with me. Within about 6 months, he completely got it. And then he was an amazing supporter. I mean, Julian and I went out and bought about 150 companies to bulk up the lettings business. So we worked very closely together for a long time with Sharon Titchmarsh.
Oh, Sharon Titchmarsh.
Sharon Titchmarsh, yeah. Fantastic. She was a fantastic lady.
Wasn't she?
She was, yes.
Absolute star lady.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, working with Sharon, she was never stopped working. I mean,
little whirlwind.
A whirlwind, yeah. So we had a great time together, acquisition. So Sharon and I used to go and visit them, maybe her or maybe me, but often both of us together and meet up somewhere. I always have a laugh about having a roll in the car with her, but it was a bread roll, a gluten-free bread roll, but not anything else. But it was, if she watches, she'll like that joke.
Anyone else before we finish? And I'm sure.
Well, there's Bruce Evans. I mean, Steve Richmond. Steve's now.
Steve at Repit.
He's at Repit. He's amazing
so
guy.
Nice to have someone at Repit that's a human face.
A human face. So Steve, I met Steve. He was a neg up in Cheshire, maybe Wilmslow branch when I first met him, and because he knows it from the ground floor. That's the thing about Steve. So he was a neg there. Then he became a manager. Probably the only man that I could say had 4 women pregnant in the office, but he wasn't the father though.
Well, all I'm going to say is this: is that we know what happened to Countrywide when it left the hands of under the
Grenville
estate agents.
Well, Grenville, took over from Harry eventually, and that's when we went private. It was Harry and Grenville for a while, but then Grenville took over. He was an amazing guy, very good businessman. He'd come from banking, but really got
from Halifax.
From Halifax,
yeah,
and started off as a junior in the Halifax. Yeah. So he'd gone through the ranks.
He was very well thought of. I'm ex-Halifax myself, so he's very well.
Yeah, lovely guy. I mean, very understood people very well, but really disciplined. I mean, he added a lot more discipline to what we did. So we had a conference called every Friday morning, the trading call to report numbers, which really sharpened everybody up to make sure.
It's amazing how such small things like that, and again, that's maybe something that we as estate agents, we're very guilty of looking at it at the end of the month. If you can spot it, you don't have to have daily calls, but
no,
but certainly.
No, certainly a weekly for the senior team. It was, how's your week been? Okay, this is okay. That was good. That wasn't so good. So what's the plan for next week? So it gave us a live plan all the time. We had a budget for a year, of course, which we'd revise regularly through the year. But the weekly call, the trading call, actually sharpened you up, and you got input from all the other team. You know, about, well, how about that? How about this? How about that? It was a very smart thing to do. So,
as often things in life, it's the small things that really do work.
yeah.
Well, John, thank you for
Well,
your
I
time
was
today.
going to say I've worked with Nick Dunning as
Nick
well.
Dunning
So
as
Nick,
well. How can we forget Nick?
how can we forget Nick?
You know, I'd like to be a pound behind him because he keeps creating and selling.
Yeah, well, he was a different person altogether, not an estate agent. He'd been senior vice president of Dell Computers, worked with Michael Dell. He was private equity, and there was something he was working on buying which didn't happen. So he was dealing with Apollo, I think it was, or Oaktree, one of the two. But they said, why don't you go and work for Countrywide? But he came, it was for a short while, but he came and stayed because he loved it. But he added a different dimension to the whole team. Certainly to me.
That's a stage, so you can check out, you can never leave.
You can never leave. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. But Nick was formidable to work with, and had a different brain and a different view on everything.
It just shows that you don't actually have to be an estate agent.
No,
I mean, again, a lot of people put a lot of stay in the fact is that when they went retail, which is when Alison, you know, well, I tell you what, let's talk about that in a separate video.
Okay, that sounds good.